Please rise while the colors are posted. Former Congressman Michael McNulty will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for our opening prayer. Bill Atchison will lead us in prayer.
Almighty God, you who are the source of our life, strength, and purpose. In your presence alone we find help, hope, and life. Guide us during this hour of fellowship and reflection to be grounded with a healing reminder of your love to all whose lives we touch this day. For it is in our glory we gather and offer our prayers. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Good morning. I'm Peter K. Goebel, the Director of the Rensselaer County Veterans Service Agency. We have gathered here this morning to honor a deceased Rensselaer County veteran for the month of November, and that veteran is Joseph W. Styno. We are honored to have with us here this morning his family, Sandra Ryan, his daughter, Brian Ryan, his son-in-law, Kathleen Vale, his daughter, and John Vale, his son-in-law. Thank you all for being here. Also with us today to honor our Veteran of the Month are representing Congressman Paul Tonko, Rachel DeJean, representing Congressman Antonio Delgado, Sarah Roberts, former Congressman Michael McNulty. New York State Assemblyman Jake Ashby will join us shortly. Rensselaer County Executive Steve McLaughlin, Rensselaer County Legislative Chair Mike Stammel, Rensselaer County Legislative Vice Chair Kelly Hoffman, and the Commander of the Waterfleet Arsenal, Milt Kelly. We also have with us legislators Dan Casale, Mark Fleming, Tom Grant, and Carol Weaver. As we are all well aware, Memorial Day and Veterans Day are special days to remember all of our veterans. This program was created to help us honor our veterans all year round. To us here in Rensselaer County, every day is Veterans Day. The Rensselaer County Honor a Deceased Veteran Program represents veterans organizations throughout the entire county. This includes members of the American Legion, Disabled American Veterans, Veterans of Lansingburg, Military Order of the Purple Heart, Marine Corps League, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Korean War Veterans, Tri-County Council of Vietnam-era Veterans, Heroes at Home, Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, Vietnam Veterans of America, AMVETS, and the Rensselaer County Veterans Service Agency. I will now ask Mike Stammel, Rensselaer County Legislative Chair, and the assembled county legislators to come forward to tell us about our honored veteran for the month of November, Joseph W. Styno.
Well assembled. Good morning, everybody. My name is Mike Stammel. I would like to welcome you to our monthly Honor of Deceased Veterans ceremony. Yesterday was Veterans Day, and we all pause to thank all the men and women who have faithfully served our country in the armed forces. Here in Rensselaer County, like stated earlier, we would like to think that every day should be Veterans Day, and that is why we have a long-standing tradition Joyce's parents, Joseph's parents, Joseph Styno and Rose Styno Pietrofasa, as close as I could get, thank you. Okay, also had two daughters, Doris, Mary, and a son, Anthony. Joseph attended Troy School and graduated in Troy High School in 1943. And like many classmates, he put his college plans on hold and enlisted in the United States Army on October 25, 1943. After completing his training, Private Styno departed the United States for the Western Pacific Theater of Operations, where he would arrive on May 28, 1944. Joseph was assigned to serve with the Battery C, 116th Field Artillery Battalion. While serving in the Western Pacific Theater of Operations, Private Styno participated in the New Guinea Campaign, the Battle of the Mortoria in the East Indies, and the Southern Philippines Campaign. The New Guinea Campaign lasted from January 1942 until the end of the War of 1945, in August 1945. During the initial phase, in early 1942, the campaign resulted in a crushing defeat of heavy losses for the Japanese Empire. The Battle of Mortoria began on the 15th of September 1944 and continued until the end of the war in August of 1945. The fighting started when the United States and Australian forces landed in the southwest corner of Mortoria in a small island in the Netherlands East Indies. The Allied forces Mortoria as a base to support the liberation of the Philippines later that year. Joseph's participation in this critical mission to liberate the Philippines was under the command of General Douglas MacArthur and began with an amphibious attack assault on the sandy beaches of the island of Lafayette on October 20th, 1944. A few hours after the troops landed, General MacArthur himself waded ashore and announced the return of Lafayette after being forced to leave by President Roosevelt on March of 1942. General MacArthur believed that it was a moral obligation for the United States to liberate the Philippines, and our armed forces were assisted by the residents of the island who were struggling against the harsh repression of the Japanese. The Battle of Lafayette was one of the most decisive operations and eventually liberation of the Philippines, as it fractured Japanese defenses perimeters, and it gave the United States command a launching pad for sea and air assaults against the Japanese islands. On February 20th, 1946, technician 4th grade Styno was honorably discharged from the United States Army at Fort Dix, New Jersey. For his honorable service to his country, technician 4th grade Styno was awarded the Atlantic Pacific Campaign Medal, the 2 Bronze Service Medals, Bronze Service Stars, a World War II Victory Medal, the Philippine Liberation Ribbon, and an Honorable Service lapel button. Joseph returned home to civilian life in Troy and attended Siena College, where he would graduate from in 1950. On October 26, 1952, Joseph married Adeline Rickey at St. Mary's Church in Troy. Together they had 2 daughters, Sandra and Kathleen. Joseph used his education to work for the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance, where he specialized in partnership tax law. Joseph worked at the state until 1995 and retired as a supervisor from New York State Department of Taxation and Finance. Joseph was 70 years old when he retired and had 45 years of service. It's rather remarkable in itself. Joseph enjoyed bowling and was an avid fan of baseball, and his favorite team was the New York Yankees. Good for him. He also enjoyed football and cheered on the Washington Redskins. Joseph was deeply involved in St. Francis de Sales Church in Troy, where he served as Eucharistic minister until the church closed. Joseph then became a communicant of Sacred Heart Church, which is also in Troy. Nothing made Joseph happier than spending time with his precious granddaughters, Stephanie and Heather. Sadly, on December 4th, 2005, Joseph passed away, his beloved wife Adeline at St. Mary's Cemetery in Troy, New York. Today we remember Joseph for the service to our country and for our community, and we are grateful to have his family and his daughters Sandra and Kathleen for allowing us to recognize him today. What an amazing time. A man leaving high school, going overseas to battle for his country, not knowing what he was getting into, and coming home and spending his life just doing what he thought he needed to do. Was hard work and labor to provide for his family. 45 years. Most guys, 20 years, they're jumping ship. He stayed there for 45 years. What a privilege. With that, we'd like to take this opportunity from the legislator to present you with a resolution that we have passed. Maybe he has some jokes.
I will now ask Rachel DeJean, representing Congressman Paul Tonko, and Sarah Roberts, representing Congressman Antonio Delgado, to come forward.
Good morning, and thank you for letting me be a part of this lovely ceremony. I know the Congressman really wishes that he could be here to honor the life of Joseph W. Styno. Just yesterday, we celebrated Veterans Day to show our support and gratitude for our service members and their families, though we can never fully repay the incredible debt we owe them for their dedication in upholding our nation's ideals. Joseph epitomized those ideals. As a lifelong resident of our capital region, his enduring spirit of service, both at home and abroad, will not be forgotten. He was a loyal husband, father, brother, uncle, grandfather, and serviceman to our country. To honor and celebrate Joseph's years of service, a flag was flown over the Capitol in Washington, which I would now like to present to his family members and loved ones.
Good morning. My name is Sarah. I'm here from Congressman Delgado's office. I have a few words from the Congressman that I'd just like to read. Dear family and friends of Technician 4th Grade Joseph W. Styno, I'm truly humbled to join the Rensselaer County Honor a Deceased Veteran Committee in honoring Joseph W. Styno, a dedicated community member who served our country bravely in the Asiatic Pacific arena during World War II. On behalf of New York's 19th Congressional District, I thank Technician 4th Grade Styno for his service and sacrifice to our great country. There is no higher calling than to serve one's country in uniform, a calling that Joseph answered resolutely at the young age of 18. To dedicate one's life to serve our great country is reflective of his exceptional moral integrity and character. His superlative service was recognized with award of the World War II Victory Medal, the Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal, and the Philippines Liberation Ribbon and the Bronze Arrowhead. Our country is eternally indebted to Technician 4th Grade Styno for risking his life for the freedom of others. I'm proud to honor this dedicated citizen whose life was fulfilled with service to his country, family, and community. Sincerely yours, Antonio Delgado, Member of Congress.
I will now ask our Rensselaer County Executive, Steve McLaughlin, to come forward.
Good morning. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, everybody, for braving the cold and the snow out there. A little late getting started with the weather, but we appreciate everybody making it. Certainly good to be joined by all of my colleagues at county government, and former Congressman Mike McNulty at that support. It's very fitting to have the ceremony right the day after Veterans Day, and to hear the story of Joe, and what a incredible time that he was in the Pacific, right right after the bomb had been dropped and the war ended. But before that, he saw a lot of stuff. So, pretty amazing story. We're wrapping up now about 5 days of veterans events here throughout the county, and this is a very fitting way to finish off what's been a very busy and fulfilling weekend for all of us. As we've heard story after story, many of them from World War II, some from Korea and Vietnam, about what these men and women did to protect our freedom, and Joe certainly part of that. 18 years old, like so many of them, 17, 18-year-old kids that went away and saved the world, really, is what they did. So it's incredible. We owe them an amazing debt of gratitude, and we are immensely grateful. And just think back that you wonder, did he see the general come ashore? Did he ever tell that story? Did he see him come ashore? And it had to be an incredible time to be there. But he did his job and then came home, and as Mike said, 45 years. I guess he was seeking calm, because after being in the Philippines and the Pacific, probably the New York State Taxation Department was a little bit more calm and sedate than what he dealt with. But 45 years, he did yeoman's work. He did a great job for the state, as he did for all of us in defending the nation. So we're very thankful for him, and thankful for you letting us honor him today. Thank you.
I will now ask New York State Assemblyman Jake Ashby to come forward.
Good morning. Thank you, Peter. Thanks for waiting for me a little bit today. I know that we had kind of a late start, but this is a priority for me, and it's something that I enjoy taking the time to be here and learn about these heroes that have served in Rensselaer County, and this is no exception. Somebody, looking at the dates, Joe arrived in the Pacific Theater in 44 and left in 46, but what he saw during that time, from Morotai to New Guinea to the Philippines, and being in field artillery, if you're on a gun line, you're a little bit sometimes separate, right? Because if you think about these large pieces of artillery, you can't have them right next to your headquarters, right? They have to be out a little bit, of a ways. And what was going on, especially in those island campaigns, is that they would use these gun lines to clear a path for infantry that were going through these islands, and sometimes it was taking these guys days to just go a couple miles because it was so thick. So the field artillery was really instrumental in prepping the battlefield, and talk about it, it was probably manufactured, some of it by the Watervliet Arsenal, right down the road from here. So when you think about the connection to the Capital District, and then coming back and working for the Department of Taxation and Finance, our county exec is probably spot on. Being 2 years in the jungle and on a gun line over there, and then coming back here and working 45 years for New York State, I would imagine is its own type of jungle, right? But he definitely had his family to lean on, and I can't imagine what that experience, must have been like, and what his family must have meant to him, during that time coming back and reintegrating. And I can't thank you enough for the sacrifice that you've made for the good of this country. Thank you.
Joe Simonak from the Rensselaer County Honor Deceased Veteran Committee will present the committee plaque at this time. Will the committee members please stand?
On behalf of the Honor Deceased Veterans Committee, the citizens of Rensselaer County and the veterans here assembled, Please accept this plaque as a token of our appreciation for your mother's service.
Please stand for the closing prayer.
The day is done, gone the sun, from the lake, the hill, and the sky, all is well. God of compassion, dignity, and strength, watch over this veteran and his family. Bless him and grant him family comfort and everlasting peace. Amen.
Amen.